Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's December 27th, and coming to you from Times Square in New York City. So part of the reason I wanted to stay a little bit off the screen here was so that you could see that's actually Times Square right outside my room window. So Times Square is actually two sides now. So we're looking towards the back side, and then the front side is where the ball is. So it's actually this way. That way people can see screens on both sides now. So it's a pretty amazing place to be. I just thought it was something fun for you to see. I know some of you are from far outside New York, or even outside the United States, and maybe you don't get a chance to see it. So here you go, New York City, Times Square, and just a couple days now before the New Year's Eve celebration. So people are starting to pour in. The city really changes over the next couple of days, so we'll be leaving tomorrow. We'll spend today seeing the city, and then we'll be out of here tomorrow. So we've had a great time, and part of what I think sometimes we need to do is stop and recognize a great moment in our lives. And really fortunate enough to have one over these couple of days where I have Anne-Marie and I in the same place, Tony and Nancy, some friends of ours, in the same place. Both our kids are with us. Both our kids were able to bring one friend each, so we have this amazing snapshot in time of 2 or 3 days where it's just that's not going to happen very often over the next as the next few years go by. It's going to happen less and less. So even for me to stop and take a snapshot and say, hey, this is a great moment. But I think it's a great thing to say out loud to you as you go through your lives. Make sure you stop and push pause and just recognize a great moment, which is really not anything that I wanted to talk about today, but I just wanted to, because I feel that today. So I don't know if you noticed, another piece of gear my wife got me, my SRT sweatshirt. So the one thing I want to talk about today really came from you. Rick asked a great question. He said, hey, I've been in 2 partnerships over the last 25 years and neither one worked out. I ended up having to buy out my partners. And what was my opinion on partnerships, and have I ever seen one work? And I thought that was a great thing, because I actually had a couple of subjects that were along those lines. So I wanted to combine that with the discussion of family in your business, friends in your business, and becoming friendly with people in your business. So we'll just head into it. And so, I'll give you the real short answer. And the answer is I do not like partnerships. I've never seen one really work. I'm not saying they've never worked in the history of humankind, but I'll tell you, I find it rare that they work. So I prefer, in my ventures, to own them outright. I know there's lots of times there's a real desire to maybe offer ownership to entice someone to come in with you, but there are other ways to do it. And what I would really suggest you ponder and think through is, there are other ways other than ownership to bring a great player into your leadership structure or start your business. And that would be something maybe like profit sharing, where you agree that if the company goes, a certain percentage of the profit will go to them, and you can change that, and you can use a profit sharing agreement or some document, even just a letter, something that specifies in writing, signed by both of you, what you've agreed to do. That way they know, they're assured you're not going to screw them in the end, and then there's no amnesia over, you said 10% and he was hoping it was going to be more like 50%. I would get all those hard conversations out of the way up front. So I've experienced partnerships twice. In both cases, the partner began to fail, and I ended up having to buy them out. And when I very first started DHA, back in '94, 2 partners wanted to come with me, and within months I bought them both out. And we can talk about why in a minute. And then in my biggest contract here with the FBI, another company wanted to partner with me, so we formed a joint venture. And DHA owned 51% of that joint venture, and the other company owned 49%. And after about a year, we began to realize they were not holding up their end of the deal, and we ended up doing all the work and sharing 49 cents of every dollar of profit. And so we ended up approaching them and saying, hey, we want to buy you out. And so we gave them a fair price, and we wrote a check for over $1 million to buy them out. And we've since made that up quite easily over the 3 or 4 years since then. It'll be 3 years now, come January, that we've done that. So we gave them a fair price. We bought them out, and we've owned it outright since. So those are two examples in my life where I don't like them. I just don't find they work. And so the reason I think that happens is everyone puts on their best face for a date. But can you maintain that face? Is it your real face as you proceed into the marriage? And when you form a corporate partnership, whether it be a joint venture or a partnership between people, it's essentially a marriage. It's a legal binding contract. You're going to sign corporation documents. You're going to sign ownership documents. If you have to incur debt or a line of credit, you're going to have to put your house on the line. Your partner's going to have to put the house on the line. And that's when things start to break down, in my opinion. Are you both committed to the point where you want to put everything you own at risk? Or is the spouse or the other person? And usually ends up something sounded really good, but somebody can't follow through. Or in the case of our joint venture, we agreed to do certain things, and the other company agreed to do certain things, and they just couldn't do it. I don't think they were lying to me. I think they were almost lying to themselves about what they were going to be able to do. And just over the course of a year, when real action needed to be taken, they just couldn't get it done. And I'm saying they're bad people, they just couldn't get their commitments handled. And in my business, it doesn't matter why. If you miss a deadline, you miss a deadline. If you don't submit the proposal, you don't submit the proposal. If you submit a poor quality or just crappy proposal, you lose. So you can lose by not submitting, or you can lose by submitting a bad product. The government does not care. My clients don't care what the reasoning is. You lose, you're out. And I just couldn't allow that. So I would personally advise you, from my life experience, to stay away from partnerships. Own your business, start your business, decide what you need to start it, decide what you need to grow it, decide what you need to improve it, and obtain those things. And sometimes that's people, sometimes that's talent, sometimes that's experience. And so sometimes that means you need to hire somebody, and sometimes you need to hire somebody at a really high level. You need to pay them well. They need to be compensated. They need to feel like they'll grow with the company. And sometimes people need the emotional scratch if I need to be an owner. And I would just advise you against that. And that may be someone you need to walk away from versus giving away part of your entity and really legally marrying them. That's I've just not seen that work in the business world. It feels good up front, and you have really hard decisions in your future. I would propose that you should have the really hard discussions up front, and then have easy discussions later on. It's easy to do the easy stuff first. It is easy to put off the hard conversations later. It is easy to assume everything's going to work and everybody's going to do what they say they're going to do. It is hard to say what happens if this does not work. And that's one of those crucible questions we should be asking when we start something is, what happens if this doesn't work? So hope for the best, plan for the worst. And when you're sitting in front of somebody you think you're going to make your partner, the question is, what happens if this doesn't work? So the second part of this conversation is friends and family. And I have stepped on this landmine 3 or 4 times in my life, and I will not do it again. I think, this is me talking from my personal experience, these are my scars. So I'm not saying it's the only answer, but I will advise you that I will not bring friends or family into my business entities ever again. It is literally 100% failure. It feels really good. It feels like you're saving them. It feels like you're giving them a hand up. It feels like you're going to have the same kind of relationship you have with them personally you're going to have now in your business. How cool would that be? What's wrong with that, Dave? And the answer is it never works. I'll tell you, business and family generally doesn't work. You see a lot of those, like my plumbers, Hayden and Sons. You see a lot of that, and you see that in mechanics and things. So I think maybe the one-on-ones work, but if you're trying to grow a true company, grow it big, doing it with family is tough. And I've personally never seen it work. I've never seen it work beyond the one-on-ones. Friends, the same thing. It feels good until the third day, or until the third week, or the third month, or the third year. At some point, expectations get missed, and now you have the emotion of, I'm going to kill not only this business relationship, but I'm probably going to lose my best friend. And that is a terrible, horrible feeling. So I had my coffee this morning. So I would advise you to stay away from partnerships if you can, and I would advise you to stay away from bringing friends and family into your business. It feels good up front. It's almost always a messy exit, and eventually there's going to be an exit. And I would say the last part that I want to talk to you today about is becoming too close to the people who work in your company. You know, the first employee, the fifth employee, your executive team if you get a bit larger. And I've stepped on this landmine as well, and that is people who weren't friends or family when we hired, but I became close to as the years went by. And I would advise you to really consider drawing some boundaries. Don't have them to your house. Don't go to their homes. Don't get to know their kids too well. Don't get to know their wives or husbands very well. You know, keep it professional. You can certainly be friendly. You can go out for drinks. You can go out for dinner. You can share lunches. But I would advise you against combining your personal lives very much, because you're running a business. This is like, remember, everyone calls me the robot. Remember I told you in one of my earlier blogs, I'm a little bit cold when it comes to the business side. But in your business, when you're the owner or the CEO, your job is to run a company. Your job is to produce a bottom line. Your job is to produce, provide for those around you, to attain the mission of your business. And as you get closer to people, that gets cloudy. It gets harder to reprimand somebody or ask somebody for an improvement if you've muddied that relationship with a pure personal friendship, and they've gone from an employee to a best friend, somebody you share time with. That will in fact cloud your judgment. That will make you defer decisions you should not be deferring. You'll allow behaviors you should not be allowing. And I've done it. I've had 2 or 3 people who've changed the way they behaved at work, changed the way they've behaved with clients. I've had people try to change their work style, like, hey, I don't feel like working on Fridays anymore, so I'm not coming in anymore. You know, the clients got very upset, and they just felt like they could do that because they're friends with me. I'm friends with Dave. Dave really likes me. I can kind of do what I want. And then eventually you have to reprimand them, and eventually you have to fire them. That is tough. And I think what you want to be careful of is the branding of, well, he or she's close with you, so that guy's close with Dave, so Dave just allows him to behave any way he wants. That kind of behavior, that kind of reputation forms almost instantaneously in your company if you allow that kind of behavior. So I just advise you, do not become overly close on a personal side with your employees. I'll tell you the last thing I would advise you is be careful about becoming too close to your clients as well. And so I'm going to tell you a quick story. I had an FBI contracting officer whose career grew kind of with mine. I mean, we met each other back in 2007, and she rose in her career path as I grew as a company, as the CEO, and we became close. She invited me to her wedding. When we attended the wedding, and we gave her a wedding present, and then someone actually filed a formal charge against her and said that we were too close, and she was currying favor as the representative of the U.S. government to me and to my company. Now, the charge was put down, and it was found out to be ridiculous, but that was because I had allowed it. I had allowed myself to get too close to a client. And so I'm very friendly, and I'm personable, and I like people, and we'll go out and have a cigar, we'll go out and have a drink, but we draw a line. I just do not allow myself to get too close to my clients, almost for their protection. So I never go to their homes. I don't really know their spouses. I don't know their kids. I don't send them Christmas pictures. I don't invite them to subscribe or be part of this process. So I think the overall message here today is just be careful. Be careful of the personal, family, friends, client relationships, and draw a circle around yourself and your company, and make sure that any relationship that permeates that circle is professional. It can be compassionate, it can be friendly, it can be warm, and it should be. We can talk about relationships on another vlog if you like, but be careful about crossing that line, about becoming too personal, about becoming where you can abuse the situation even if you don't realize you are, or allowing that person, whether they work for you, your partner, or your clients, to make decisions that they wouldn't make if you hadn't allowed that to get quite so personal. And guys, I realize that this can seem so cold and removed, but if it does, I would ask you to look inside yourself, and are you looking for something out of your company that's inappropriate? Are you looking for personal relationships? Are you looking for friends? Are you looking for some relationship that some other part of your life should be providing? Are you looking for that out of your job? And I see that a lot in my employees today. They come to the company looking for friendship, looking for after hours, and that's just, in my world, in my opinion, that is an inappropriate mixing of your personal and professional life. And if you become the boss, if you become the owner, if you become the CEO, you must set the example of that is just not. We don't look for that in our professional world. We look for warmth, we look for compassion, we look for professional, personal relationships, but we don't look for personal only relationships. So just, I hope that message comes through. I hope, I haven't construed it as you can't be friendly or nice or have some friendships at work, but you just want to make sure they don't become the dominant side of your relationship. So be careful of that. And as always, ask me questions, push back. Maybe you have some great examples of how it's worked great for you. But we can certainly take this to another level of discussion if you'd like. We're coming up on 20 minutes, so I'll say thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for coming to play, thanks for bringing your A game. Thanks for letting me be a little bit weird and show you out the window as I try to talk to you, and as the light, it's funny, this camera, as the lights come on and off down there, the light up here comes on and off. See, there we go again. So we'll make it a little bit brighter. I'll say, have a great Wednesday. Today's a Statue of Liberty tour day, so maybe we'll get you some video from there as well. As always, I love this thing. I love where we're going. Thanks for playing. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you later.